organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on Daily Iowan TV, find out what changes the university has in store for the main library.
Plus how fighting breast cancer is just a matter of style.
And in sports, the Hawks head up to the Twin Cities. We'll have all the ins and outs of the Floyd of Rosedale border game with Minnesota in Daily Iowan pregame.
All that and more is coming your way next.
Daily Iowan TV starts now.
Thanks for tuning in to your Thursday edition of Daily Iowan TV, your television, news, sports, and weather source for the Daily Iowan. I'm Adrienne Crossley.
And I'm Josh Bolander. Tuition for undergrads is going to increase yet again next year. On Thursday, the State Board of Regents voted to increase tuition at Iowa's 3 public universities by 3.75% for in-state students and 4.75% for out-of-state students. This comes after the Regents approved a 5% increase in March and a 6% increase in February of 2010. Officials said that while they approved the increase, they are also doing what they can to keep tuition low and want legislators to guarantee the availability of loans and grants to help offset costs. For legislators' responses, be sure to check out Friday's pages of the Daily Iowan.
Also at the meeting Thursday, Regents approved the creation of an advisory board to oversee UI healthcare. The board will include subcommittees focused on finances, safety, and service, as well as workforce development. Regents also approved the construction of a $90 million College of Pharmacy building and the sale of UI farmland worth over $500,000. But that wasn't all. Today, Regents also approved a multi-million-dollar plan to renovate the first floor of the University of Iowa's main library. Earlier, I sat down with student leaders hoping to make sure the changes are in the students' best interests. The University of Iowa's main library will be getting a new look. University officials have planned a $14 million renovation for the library's first floor. The university looked to the Dean's Student Advisory Committee for student perspective on the changes.
Something that the university has been trying to do is that they're trying to modernize everything on campus. And so I think the best way to say it is that a university really is represented by its main giant library. And so to kind of make all these implementations will be a huge, huge dramatic change to the university as a whole.
In the university's efforts to modernize the main library, 50-person interactive tile classrooms will be added, as well as a redesigned cafe and new private study areas. Though many decorative aspects of the library are outdated, how do students feel about the physical changes that will take place to the actual building?
With any building, it's important that you regularly update it. But this is my first semester at the University of Iowa, and I have not experienced any problems with the current layout, but that doesn't mean that eventually I won't.
The Board of Regents decided earlier today that the university will be able to move forward with these plans. During the time of remodel, students will have access to areas of the library that will not be under construction. The library renovations are set to begin the summer of 2012 and end by the fall semester of 2013. Adrienne Crossley, Daily Iowan TV. A new entrance will also be created on Madison Street.
The UI will add to its already stellar creative writing reputation with the creation of a master's program in Spanish creative writing. The program will begin enrolling students this spring, and officials say it will give Hispanic writers a chance to shine. The UI has offered undergraduate courses in Spanish creative writing for the past 5 years, but this is the first graduate course. The United States is projected to overtake Mexico as the country with the most Spanish speakers by 2050.
A West Branch man is being charged with stealing over $3,000 from his employer. According to police, 50-year-old Robert Van Ginkel stole just over $3,700 from Campus Towing while working as the company's operation manager from January to July. Reports show police were alerted after workers noticed that some towing tickets paid in cash were missing. Van Ginkel is being charged with second-degree theft.
Whether they're made of denim or DNA, jeans were the topic of discussion at last night's cancer awareness event. The University of Iowa Hospitals and Clinics Holden Comprehensive Cancer Center held an event entitled Are You Comfortable in Your Genes? The event focused on breast and genealogical cancer risks and treatments.
If there are other medical problems that are likely going to change this person's lifespan within the next 5 to 10 years, we don't really do mammograms, because even if we found a tiny cancer in women that are 75, 80 years old, they tend not to be very aggressive cancers.
During the event's fashion show, cancer survivors and their supporters took to the runway, modeling their denim fashions. Closing out the event, oncologists took questions from the audience about cancer prevention and treatment options. If you or a loved one would like to know more about cancer prevention, go to uihealthcare.org/CIS.
And now Nick Fetty joins us in the studio for a look at your local weather forecast. Nick?
Thanks, guys. You can expect brisk temperatures Friday morning with 40 degrees and mostly sunny skies around 9 o'clock. The sun will stay around, but it'll only warm up to about 51 degrees by noon, and it should reach as high as 58 tomorrow afternoon before dipping into the low 40s around 9 p.m. And as we look at the extended forecast, it's a shame that this weekend's game isn't at home, because Saturday looks to be a nice day to spend outside with sunny skies and temps in the upper 50s. But then on Sunday, we'll see slightly cooler temps and a 20% chance of rain. As we make our way into next week, we'll see highs hit the low 60s Tuesday, but it'll cool down after that, and you can expect a chance of rain again on Wednesday. So that's what you can expect for the next couple of days. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Nick. And only with Daily Iowan TV can you get a sneak peek at Friday's pages of the Daily Iowan. Read about a calculator that lets students see exactly what they'll pay for college, plus how one pro-life Democrat is challenging Barack Obama in the presidential race.
After a solid win against Indiana last week, the Hawkeyes take to the road this weekend to face Minnesota. And to get you ready, we have everything you need to know in our weekly breakdown we call Daily Iowan Pregame.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Daily Iowan Pregame. I'm Chelsea Byrne, flying solo here today as my partner in crime, Jake Abrams, is covering Big Ten Basketball Media Day in Chicago this weekend. And even though basketball season is rapidly approaching, there is still a lot of football left to be played as we enter Week 9 of the season. The Hawkeyes will travel to Minnesota on this Halloween weekend to try and redeem themselves after their devastating 27-24 loss to the Gophers last year. It was cold and ugly and mostly had to do with the Hawks simply not showing up.
We didn't play well, and they did. It's about as simple as that. They came ready to play. We did not, and they outplayed us all three areas.
Two of the most impactful players of that Minnesota loss last year, though, returned to TCF Bank Stadium this year. Marvin McNutt led the Hawks last year in receptions, and Marcus Coker the leader in rushing yards against the Gophers, giving Iowa a leg up on the 1-6 team. It will still be a challenge for Iowa, though, as they have yet to win a game on the road this year, something that Farron says is crucial to the success for the rest of their season.
We just need it as a team, we need the win on the road. We haven't done that. We're 0 for 2 right now, and, coincidentally, we're on the road this week.
When the Hawks face Minnesota, they will be vying for that trophy of the Bronze Pig we have been talking about all week. Yep, it's the battle for the Floyd of Rosedale. And even though players say that they aren't focused on what trophy they take home, Daily Iowan Sports' Nick Robertson was able to talk to some of the Hawkeyes about this trophy game.
In 2008, Rivals.com voted the Floyd of Rosedale the #1 trophy in all of college football. But despite everything that surrounds the trophy, coaches and players are staying focused on the test they have in front of them.
I think whenever you play a bordering state, it's a big deal, especially when there's a trophy on the line. And I think we both take it serious. And the pig might not be the biggest thing. It's just being able to get that win, which means you get it. So that's something that both of us are looking forward to this weekend.
It's definitely unique, but at the same time, we know what it means to the Hawkeyes, the tradition, and to the fans and both sides. So we just need to make sure we're coming out and do everything we need to do to try to get that pig back.
Well, we had tried to look beyond just what the actual trophy is, but the history behind it, and all the great battles these teams had back in the days, and we're just trying to keep that going.
Not only is the Floyd of Rosedale original and historic, but he weighs a lot too. The bronze pig weighs about 98.3 pounds. A trophy Hawkeye players know you don't want to hoist alone.
I thought it was hilarious. I remember when we first went up there and we actually won it. Kenny was trying to hold it. Kenny Weapon was trying to hold that pig up, and he hit his head with it because it was so heavy. He was bleeding, wasn't he? Yeah, he was bleeding. So.
I don't care about myself.
Nick Robertson, Daily Iowa TV Sports.
And while the Hawks have only 2 losses so far this season, Minnesota has 6, making this matchup a seemingly predictable one. It doesn't mean it will be easy though, as Minnesota is overall a solid football team. To give us some more insight into this team that just can't seem to make that next jump, we welcome in Derek Wetmore, the sports editor of the Minnesota Daily. Now Derek, Iowa has yet to win a game on the road this year, so there is always hope that upsets will happen. Do you think there's a chance Minnesota could pull this one out on Saturday?
Short of a miracle, I'm not sure there is anything that could allow the Gophers to upset even the Hawkeyes. They've lost to some bad teams this year. They lost to North Dakota State. They lost to New Mexico State. Both of those games were at home. Some of the worst college football teams in Division I, and the Gophers couldn't handle them. They then obviously got blown out by Michigan, embarrassed at Purdue before losing to Nebraska last week at their homecoming. I don't see any way that the Gophers could even make it a game.
If there is one player that you think the Hawkeyes should be looking out for on Saturday, though, who would it be?
I think the game, starts and ends with Marquise Gray, and I think to say that to watch for him having a big game might be a little dishonest. He's explosive with his legs, but the problem with Gray so far this season has been he'll drop back in the pocket, and instead of looking through a progression, seeing maybe his first receiver covered and going to the next guy, it's an instant instinct for him to tuck and run. He likes to make things happen with his legs. He's a very mobile quarterback, much in the way that Denard Robinson was last year, where he didn't really have the passing aspect to his game. It was just all ground game.
And the Hawkeyes have had trouble with mobile quarterbacks this year, so regardless, that should make for an interesting matchup. Now, I think I maybe can guess your answer to this, but what do you think the final score will be in this border game?
I would be taking the Hawkeyes in a landslide. I don't think this game will be within 2 scores. For that reason, I'm going to pick Iowa 42, Minnesota 14.
Thank you. That was Derek Wetmore of the Minnesota Daily. And before our pregame show ends, I want to leave you with a few fast facts about this 105th meeting of these 2 teams that is taking place in Minneapolis this weekend. Sophomore linebacker Christian Kirksey will be facing off against his nephew this weekend, Minnesota defensive end Brandon Kirksey. Iowa has only 2 players on its roster from the state of Minnesota, Broderick and Marcus Binns. The brothers grew up in St. Paul, Minnesota and attended Cretin-Durham Hall. Minnesota head coach Jerry Kill signed a 7-year deal with the Gophers earlier this week, adding to his already impressive 18 years as a head coach at various schools. And as of right now, the Hawkeyes have no trophies in their trophy case. The Cy-Hawk Trophy is now in Ames, the Heartland Trophy in Wisconsin, the Floyd of Rosedale still in Minnesota, and the new Heroes Trophy yet to be played for in Nebraska, making the capturing of this Floyd of Rosedale all that more important this weekend. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Be sure to tune in on Sunday for a full recap of the trip to the Twin Cities, as well as everything else Hawkeye sports happening this weekend. Thanks for watching and have a great night.